Hi, my name is Bara Jane Michelo. I'm the Chief Enablement Officer for B-Youth. B-Youth is an AI-enabled crowdfunding and P2P lending platform that is created for youth to close the financial gap. Stay glued to this platform for more exciting projects for you, the youth.
Today, I'd like to talk about how to buy a house in Kingsland City. It's pretty easy. Doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in Zambia, South Africa, America, Canada, Australia. No matter where you are on this planet, you can buy yourself right here in Kingsland City in Lusaka. It's pretty easy. What you need to do is go to our social media platforms, that's on Facebook or Instagram. Browse through the photos that we've posted of the homes here in Kingsland. When you see the one that you like, call us on 0960 666 888.
Whether you're a young professional, growing family, or retiree, Kingsland City offers homes tailored to every lifestyle. From virtual tours to secure online transactions, you can choose and purchase your dream home with confidence, no matter where you are.
The number once again is 0960 666 888. Call that number, ask for a purchase card and a sample contract so that you can better understand the terms and conditions of buying a house in Kingsland City.
Visit our Instagram or Facebook pages today to start your journey. Kingsland City, where luxury meets possibility. Kingsland City is in the process of developing a new area. Grab this opportunity and get a house in Kingsland City. Make a down payment of $10,000 and secure a house in Kingsland City. Promotional prices start from $55,000 to $60,000 for now. For more information, call 0960 666888.
Dun 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 dun.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to it. That's a podcast, and
second week in a row that we have been
late.
We've been late.
Apologies for that.
One person said, "If you guys have run out of guests, just say it and close your podcast." People are so entitled.
People have no chill on the socials, man.
They're just so entitled.
The keyboard warriors. In our WhatsApp group, which I've been getting a lot of calls and WhatsApp messages from people all around the world asking how they can become members of this group. Have we exceeded the limit? Are we still taking people on?
So, Gob, you haven't done this in a while. Please put the number on the screen.
That you can do now, right?
Yes. So that is how you're able to join the WhatsApp group. In this WhatsApp group, these people in the WhatsApp group are the ones that influence the guests that we have.
The topics that we discuss. What direction they feel the podcast should take.
Because they pay, right?
Exactly.
So the rest of you people are basically watching what a few influence. And a couple have actually become family. Kyle was telling me that you guys were granddaddies.
Yeah, and he told me this morning that he lost his sister.
Oh, snap, did he?
Yeah, he's flying to Sweden, apparently. I think that's why he's not even posted in the group, because it's offline right now. So.
Oh, that's sad, man.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll put more information in the group a little later.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of the group, our guest today was actually inspired by a conversation that came up in our WhatsApp group. people talking about how do we invest in certain instruments that others are making money from, things like treasury bills, government bonds, what should we invest in this year, what's looking likely to make us a profit or good returns. And we figured, let's make a few calls and see who we can bring on the show to help us break this down like a fraction. You know what I mean?
If you're going to tell the story, tell the whole story.
Tell the story.
No, so go ahead.
Tell the story. What story? About how we got here?
Yeah, about the calls we made.
No, it's fine.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Big shout out to Brothers. Trade Kings has been a phenomenal partner.
Yep.
We would have been shot by Gob by now. Because I know Gob moves around with a gun. And people, Gob, do you read the comments? Did you see what people were saying about you? Where's your microphone? Where's Gob's microphone?
Ah, crap. I haven't said
Why
it
do we
today.
do this every freaking week?
Yeah.
People were saying, for a police officer, Gob knows fuck all. Did you see that, Gob?
Yeah.
When
When we're talking about the skeletons and...
you know nothing.
Before we start making our...
So, yeah, big shout out to Brothers.
Yeah.
Phenomenal partner that you guys have been. Here's hopefully to, after June, yet another year.
Another contract.
Yep. My dear friend Mkuka, we have got something that is brewing. So, TikTok, brother. Who am I leaving out? Who's been good and kind to us?
When it comes, I'll remember. I'll bring it up.
And hey, before we start, if you have got any relatives whose jobs are funded by the US, please check on them. Those people are sweating bullets right now. Have you heard what's been happening?
Yeah, the especially World Health Organization and America pulling out.
Oh, that's the extent of what you know?
No. I have been following. Yeah, the Trump's announcements. And Dambisa Moy actually wrote about this. Remember in her book Dead Aid?
Yeah.
She did mention America's going to cut funding to Africa one day.
Funding,
we need to be
but-
ready for it.
I think there's also deportations, yeah?
So they've stopped all funding to do whatever America funds outside America. They stopped. So anything to do with HIV that has stopped as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be pretty interesting to see all the people that rooted Durham talking to you for Trump and were excited. Yeah, man. Do we have the congratulations you played yourself?
Rice Price deleted it. Anyway, before we alienate our guest and make her feel uncomfortable, like she's not even part of this conversation today, our guest today, like we said, is somebody who, and that's going to be my first question, is somebody who's famous in the financial spaces. Am I correct here? She's an author, event MC. I think I've seen you MC some events before. And she has a book entitled Catching Fire. And the fire is actually FIRE with dots in between. And it actually stands for Financial Independence and Early Retirement. Jane Mazimba, ladies and gentlemen. There we go.
Yeah, I heard that.
Jane, right off the gate, out the gate, what qualifies you for such a conversation? There's so many people claiming to be financial experts. Why should anybody listen to you for advice?
First of all, I would like to think of myself as popular rather than famous,
Okay.
in the hopes that people actually like me and find me, relatable. That's one of the things, definitely. Personal experiences in the finance space, just from my personal journey of learning about money, getting out of debt, building my savings, starting to invest, that. But also, I do have experience in the finance space. I spent 10 years in the banking sector. Now I'm firmly in the insurance industry. It's been 3 years, or it will be 3 years on the 31st in a couple of days. I would have been 3 years in the insurance. So I have a good bird's eye view of what retail offerings are out there for people and how they can utilize them to meet their financial goals.
So is your experience or what gives you the
Authority.
right from your experience in banking?
Yeah, part of it. Part of it is my experiences in banking. Part of it is my personal journey.
And what is that?
So the things that I talk about are things that I've lived. I mentioned getting out of debt. I was in debt distress early on at the start of this journey. Actually, that's what got me started. So I had a lot of debt.
How much?
It was 249,000 back then.
Kwacha?
Yeah, kwachas.
And how did you get out of it?
I worked.
I think let's build up from how did you
No,
get
hold
into
on.
it?
No, hold on. So yeah, both.
Bad decisions is how I got into it. How I got out of it was just working. I decided at some point, I feel like I've told this story so many times, but a friend of mine came to my house. I was going through a separation. I was back in my parents' house in their spare bedroom with a small
You were married?
child. Yes. And so I was kind of depressed, and my best friend came over, brought this video that sort of was the catalyst. Caroline
so
Motoko.
hold on, sorry. The debt was accumulated when you were married.
Yes.
So was that your personal debt or a debt that you accumulated as a pay?
I really like to gloss over that conversation because there's another party involved in this.
The reason why I ask, obviously, is because if we are going to help somebody who's in debt, right, and it's debt that was accumulated by two people or just by one person, it kind of helps form how you then got out of it.
Yeah, so it was debt that was accumulated by myself.
Okay.
Obviously, but when you're a couple, you discuss as a couple and you decide as a couple. But the debt was in my name. I was the one signing the papers. So it was my debt. Let's go there. Let's go from there. Let's go with that. Yeah.
And how?
So yeah, go ahead. So then a friend came to you with a video.
Yeah, and they had done the series Money in Your 20s, 30s, and Money in Your 40s, and I was on the precipice of going into 30s. So we watched Money in Your 30s, and it really stuck with me. It was one of those moments where it was like, oh, okay, I can actually take control. So when she left, I made a plan, and I was like, okay, that was 2018. So my vision 2022, which was 5 years from then, was to get out of debt. So I just started working hard, earning extra money, doing side hustles, and paying extra on the debt. And I was out of it I didn't do the 5 years. I did it in 22 months.
So was this to an institution?
A mix. So I had the bank loans, obviously. I had some friends and family, village banks, village groups. Yeah.
Can I ask what you were borrowing all this money for?
It was a lot. Trying to invest in a business, preparing for a baby, whatever, lifestyle, honestly.
Was there anything to do with keeping up with appearances in that mix? Keeping up appearances in that mix?
I think definitely. I think there was definitely a keeping up appearances aspect to it, yeah.
So when you say work hard, because I'm trying to run away from generic terms. Somebody who wakes up at 5 a.m. and goes to Soweto feels they're working hard. What does that mean when you say you worked hard?
That's part of it, actually. So for me, I was in the office before 7, like around 7 or before 7. And I was putting in extra time. If there was a project happening at the office, anything that could earn me overtime, my hand was up. So there's a project, I'm there. There's something we need to do at the weekend, I'm there. So that was part of it. Part of it was I had a side hustle. It was called Urban Chic. Oh my gosh. We used to do head wraps and makeup and stuff. So I would book like weddings, kitchen parties and stuff like that. I would go and style them. At the weekend, I would be all over town styling events. And then during the week, I would be posting online on my Facebook. Then it was primarily Facebook. Advertising and saying, book me. So I had a target for how much I wanted to earn every weekend. And I would hit that target. And that allowed me to use my whole salary for debt repayment. And then I had extra money to live. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to imagine throughout your journey in the banking space. And, you know, just like with anything, when anybody takes advice, especially financial advice from anybody, they always want to sort of question your accolades. Just like Kalenga said, what then gives you the authority to be able to do that. So this basically was just based off learned experience and not really anything apart from that.
What is that? What's this?
No, I'm saying the authority that you have in sort of telling people how to invest, etc. Does that come purely from learned experience? What you went through and how you got out of debt? Is it a mixture of that and your academic qualifications?
I would say it would be mostly work experience and personal. My personal experience is what got me started on the journey. But like I mentioned, because I was in the banking space, I had a good eye on like what products are on the market. I had access to our guys in Treasury, our guys in investments. So I'll just walk over and I'd see what the institutions are doing. So where are these big institutions putting their money and things like that? And I'd learn about that. And I had some privilege to sit on some projects that were actually handling some of those investments. So because I was internal to the banking space, I had a good eye for what was going on in the market, what products are available and things like that. And that is a combination of my personal lived experience. But then because of that experience, I was able to apply my head knowledge.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So on which side of the table have you spent most of your time? The side where you're on the bank, you are talking to an entrepreneur who's looking for funding, or have you been on the other side of the table where you've started a business, you need to raise money, you've got 20 people that you need to pay, you have got obligations and et cetera, which side of the table have you really spent a lot of your journey?
Time. I think I've spent the most time on the financier side, definitely, on the banking side or the insurance company side, versus on the entrepreneur. I feel like I'm only now starting my entrepreneur journey. Yeah. So most of the conversations that I have around finance is very heavily tilted towards personal finance. It's the last couple of years, maybe I would say from 2021-ish onwards is when I've started venturing into business and also just learning the pain of the entrepreneur or the business owner.
A lot of what I'm asking you, obviously, is coming from, the pain that myself, I have sort of endured the past 5 years being an entrepreneur. I've started 3 companies, and I've sort of gone every single route in terms of trying to raise capital. When you have an entrepreneur in any country, in Zambia, and they need capital for their business, what do you think maybe the top 2 or 3, I don't know if that's what you focus on, I could be going totally off course, avenues to take?
That's not what I focused on, but I do have sort of an idea. Like I said, I was in the sector, so I had some clients who are business owners. They're looking for credit or whatever it is. I think for me, when I was in the banking space, the biggest hurdle that our entrepreneurs seem to face was the compliance aspect. There's a lot of paperwork that is needed in the vetting process for you to qualify for this. And so you'll be asking for maybe audited financials or at least even just management accountants for the last couple of years. And some people might not have the records. Do they have their ZRAs? Do they have their PACRAs? Things like that. Because in as much as the bank is lending money, that's not their money. That's money from the public. And so they have to take certain things to mitigate risk. So a lot of the people that I came into contact with would sort of get annoyed by the sheer amount of paperwork and vetting that they have to go through and just be like, nope, we're moving on.
Yeah, but it still hasn't answered my question. What do you think the go-to is when somebody wants capital to scale their business?
I think if you have a proof of concept and a proof of what it is that you're selling, I think it's easier if you can prove that there's a market. Definitely.
Easier to who?
Easier for the entrepreneur.
No. You're an entrepreneur, you've got a proof of concept. Where do you go to get capital?
Start with your friends and family. Mm-hmm. Those ones. They're usually,
that doesn't work?
That doesn't work?
Mm-hmm. If that doesn't work.
If that doesn't work, then you can...
You go into a foreign country, no friends, no family, you want to make it.
Why don't you have any friends and family?
You go into a foreign country,
okay.
You don't have friends or family, you've got a proof of concept, you've tested it, it works, all right? It has worked somewhere else. So I'm trying to figure out what your go-to is for you to be able to get capital to scale your business.
So I would still go with friends and family. We do live in a global village or whatever, but I feel like that should be your first point where you're talking about your idea and you're saying, I've gotten this, but sometimes maybe the funds that you want are too large for you.
Yeah, because look at it this way. Your friends and family can get your business to a certain level, right?
There you go.
When you need to scale.
So let me move on.
Yeah.
So from there, I think that there are a lot of hubs that you can go to, entrepreneurial hubs. We do have a few here. I've seen some in Kenya. I've seen some in Uganda, where you can then like start getting into the community. And I find that some of the early on investors do tend to hang out as well. Your angel investors or your early on capitalists might be there for you to get some funding there. The truth is, in Africa, it's really difficult to get money from the banks. So then you try other avenues first. And when you're sure that your business can be successful and it's ready to scale, and then you can go to the banks. And then also, by then you would have created the traction that is needed for you to tick box the compliance that the banks need.
Because you know what my problem with banks is? Banks only give you money when you don't need it. You go to a bank, they ask you for collateral, right? They ask you for security. I go to a bank that told me that in order for us to give you $1 million kwacha, can you give us $1 million kwacha as security? Then we give $1 million kwacha as an overdraft.
Cash.
Right. Which I sort of understand the concept, but then if I have got $1 million kwacha to give you as security, then I don't need you people. Or they say, give us property worth X amount and we'll give you something a little less. So, again, I'm talking to you not out of a journalistic perspective, but out of have walked a certain path where I've had all kinds of conversations. The conversation began getting interesting when I went to what's the lady at ABSA? Mzingamelu. And she sat me down with one of her people and said, I don't know if I should say this.
You already started the story,
I kind of feel like she did what she wasn't supposed to. Anyway, she said, no, you know what, let me not. But she did try to work out something, though in the end it didn't. I ended up getting sort of a hybrid of the bank coming in and helping me out, and me getting an investor out of America who, you kind of have to have a certain level of knowledge because they come in and you now have to begin to think about equity versus loan and everything else. So it's a very interesting journey, and I was pretty excited to speak to you about this because it's something that I know quite a number of people.
Yeah. Well,
at different levels of their business would be stuck.
I can't really speak for the banks as a whole. I know that a lot of banks do have policy that they follow. So sometimes your relationship manager or your loan officer or whoever might even want to say, okay, let's do this, let's try this, but policy doesn't allow. So unfortunately, that's just the lay of the land. You do have to sort of look in other places before you can get to a place where the banks are comfortable enough.
You know why I say I now believe it's not set in stone? It's because the bank that you worked at, we did sit down and I gave up. One bank came to me and structured something which they didn't have that existed. So they tailored something specific for me.
So different institutions.
It's a different institution,
different
yes.
Policies, different people.
Precisely, right. But
Yeah.
no, but my point is they were willing to go out on a limb.
Yeah, the other institutions were willing to go out on a limb.
And the others were like, you know what, bruh. And I guess this is how you then see when the financials then come out, some banks have made way more than others have. It's because of how rigid they are.
Yeah, that's part of it. Definitely.
Before I get carried away.
Yeah, with your situation. Jane, I've read your book. I really enjoyed the book, and there's just certain points
You
I'd like to
read the
bring
wrong
up.
version of the book, but okay.
What do you mean wrong version?
That's the very, very, very first one. That's the very, very, like you literally have the prototype. When I get like super
the
rich,
first
you can sell
edition.
that as a first edition.
Serious? I feel so lucky all of a sudden, eh? But speaking of what's in the book, and I'm happy that you
Well, how come I didn't get a book?
This is actually your copy.
Where's your copy?
It's at home. Yeah. Jane gave me to give you.
Miscommunication.
Yeah. So listen, I'm happy that we started this conversation from a point of debt because millions of people in this country are wallowing in poverty mostly because of, well, we talk about the economy, whatever, but debt is a major part of that as well, right? And in your book, you talk about evaluating debt. And I don't want to give it away. I'd love you to explain
for somebody trying to get out of debt, you talk about evaluating debt. What does that mean? To a layman trying to get out of debt right now, how would you explain evaluate your debt?
Yeah, so it's literally just checking how much do I actually owe. You'd be surprised at how many people will sit in front of you and they'll be like, I'm heavily in debt, I'm heavily in debt. How much do you owe? They don't know. They know like, I owe Kalenga 10,000, I owe so and so 20, I owe this person too, but they don't know what the consolidated picture is. If they do have a formalized institutional loan, for instance, they know that, I took a loan of 400,000. I think I've paid maybe the last year and a half I've been servicing it. So what's the balance now? They don't know. So essentially that exercise is for you to like physically take a paper and write out like line by line. What do I owe? How much do I owe? What's the interest? If there's interest, when do I need to pay it by? So you can have a good picture of what that looks like. And to be fair, a lot of people have anxiety around that. They don't know how big it is, so it stresses them out. They don't want to do it. Yeah. So essentially, you're looking at like line by line, this is what I owe. Once you have a picture, then you can make decisions like, okay, this is the worst it's going to be, or this is how much I want to pay, if I'm going to pay extra, or if I'm just going to keep making minimum payments and things like that.
I listen to a lot of motivation speakers, life coaches, business coaches, finance, whatever. And even when you talk about, list and evaluate your debt, the way you've done it in your book, others will come and argue and say, even if you're in debt, pay yourself first, right? I'd like to understand from your perspective what that means. Pay yourself first, even though you're in debt. There's all these debts that need to be serviced and paid off. What does that mean?
I don't completely agree with that. I think the pay off first concept is when you get your paycheck or your income, whatever it is, you take out a portion to put away for yourself. That is meant to cushion you because life happens whether you've got debt or not.
Right.
Your child could get sick, you would get a tire puncture, whatever it is which you need to fix. And so you pay yourself first that amount. However, I don't believe in paying yourself in perpetuity. I think that you need to have an amount of money that you would say, this is going to be my baby emergency fund. And if anything happens, I can fall back on this. Right, I can pay 1 month's rent, or I can fix a car tire, I can take my child to the clinic and get it sorted within that amount. And then you redirect everything to paying down your consumer debt. And I'm very specific about the type of debt this is. This is your debt where you were just getting for lifestyle, like what I had, versus somebody who says, I've got a company and my company is owing and my company is able to pay that back. Yeah.
So you kind of have to tap into some form of self-discipline to say, I'm going to pay myself first X amount, because what got you into the debt was your lack of discipline to begin with.
Yeah.
So where miraculously have you gotten that discipline to say, I will remove 10 kwacha, which I will leave off, and the rest of the 90 kwacha is going to go towards my debt, because you're the same person who took the entire 100 to use it for your own lifestyle
choices,
right? So you have to tap into some kind of discipline to be able to now, for the next year, leave off the 10 kwacha and put the 90 towards debt. And so how do you create that type of discipline where Chris Brown performs in Johannesburg and you have this urge, right, to say, okay, you know what, let me just skip this month and then I promise January I'll begin to repay back my debt?
So it's not miraculous. It does take some sort of introspection and work that you do on yourself. You do have to actually look at yourself and make some sacrifices. It's not easy. So it's easy to just say, oh, you do this, but you'd have to make some sacrifices because like you've rightly said, there are things that you have to cut out. There are sacrifices that you have to make. Move back in with your parents, something to ensure that you have that extra amount of money. And then you have to make the decision at some point, like no one's coming to save you. Like literally nobody's going to give you a 249 to pay down your debt. You got into this, you're going to pull yourself out. If you don't, it will continue to get worse. So I think everybody has that moment. People say rock bottom in inverted commas. It sounds like a moment, but I do feel like you reach a certain stage where you're like, I'm going to continue complaining or I'm actually going to do something about it. And you start working towards that.
How long did it take for you to get out of debt?
22 months.
That's almost 2 years. Yeah.
So you had your child, you had your upkeep, and how much if you're able to quantify it, how much of whatever income you were making was going towards your debt in percentage, not amount, and how much were you living off?
So the first couple of months, I was lucky enough to mention earlier that I had to move back in with my parents. So in the first couple of months...
Both.
Yeah.
Did the same.
Yeah. So in the first couple of months, I was lucky enough that I had that to fall back on. I didn't have rentals. I didn't have to buy food. But I did have to go through the shame of laying down my papers to my parents and say, I'm in trouble. So I'm going to live with you for a while. Please allow me. And I won't be able to contribute the way you think I should. So those first few, to answer your question, those first couple of months, I would say the first 7 months or so, maybe 90% of my paycheck went towards paying the debt. Like literally, I think I write in the book, the first month, January of 2018, I took home a 900 kwacha. That's what my payslip said. And my maid was getting an 800 kwacha out of that.
Sure.
So it was terrible. But along the way, when I started understanding how much earning extra actually helps, I would say I got to a point where I was making more money from my side hustles and the extra income than my job. So I would say maybe 40% of my take home was going towards paying down debts. And that was literally my work paycheck. And then I would make extra money to live off that.
Few housekeeping. The beautiful location where we're shooting from is Prime Joint.
Opposite University of Zambia, not the Prime Joint at East Park.
No,
but the
massive
one
building.
right opposite the entrance of University of Zambia, new building. And
It's your first time here, right?
And I'm told they own the building actually.
It's your first time
Yeah,
here, right?
first time, yeah.
First impression?
I've been around, I've been through the spa, and
So you and I, the next episode was just you and
I was told we can record from the spa.
Yeah, it's like a date that you and I will have. While we get our... what is it when you do your feet? Is that a pedicure?
A bromance?
Is that a pedicure or a manicure? What is that?
It's a pedi.
Yeah, so we're gonna have our pedicure.
Pedicure, yeah.
And
I don't like how it's looking at me right now
and
while saying these things.
And cucumbers in our eyes.
And pina coladas by our
They
side.
don't do anything for you, by the way.
You say what?
I think
The cucumbers.
The cucumbers, I don't think they do.
Yeah, so Prime
Aesthetics.
Joint, right opposite the use. This is beautiful. So you mentioned a spa. We are upstairs right now where there's a lounge where you're able to chill with your friends.
Yeah.
And right across from us is... describe that, bro.
Restaurant area. There's also another place I'm told will be ready in a few days' time. You can accommodate at least 150 people for a party. So your birthday parties, small weddings, you can do from there.
And you know what? One of the biggest misconceptions that people had, like when we shot the episode that never saw the light of day.
Oh, from Prime Catch.
Prime Catch.
Yeah.
So apparently people thought that this place is Prime Catch that just moved from East Park and came here. They don't realize this is Prime Joint where you can get your ribs, your steak, your burgers, all that good stuff. So check this place out. I guarantee you
will love it.
Listen, if you take anybody on a date to this spot, they'll think of you differently.
They'll look at you differently, too.
So check out Prime Joint,
Prime
opposite.
University
What
of
do you
Zambia.
think of this spot? You're smiling so hard, Jane. What would you think if a guy took you on a date here?
It's nice.
That's it.
It's nice.
I mean, in Lusaka, you don't really have that many places that are nicer than this.
I was here last week.
On a date?
Malcolm from MTN took his wife here because
Ish.
it was his wife's birthday as well. Shout out to Malcolm.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen Malcolm in a while. Jane, you're out of debt. It's like many people watching this, I did say a lot of people are in debt. When they get out of debt, what's a good thing? No, let's talk about bonds, which is what actually started this conversation. I'm out of debt. I've got a bit of money to spare. How do I go about investing in bonds? Why should I invest in bonds? Are
What
they
are
a safe
bonds?
investment? What is a bond? Tell us everything we need to know about bonds.
Let me tell you first of all, which sort of circles me back to Elson's last question,
Right.
is you get out of debt. Debt is a mindset issue. So what happened with me is I started slipping back into debt. So first couple of months, I don't have any bills, any extra. I've got extra money. Oh, there's a designer handbag. Guess what? Let me get it. I'll pay you at the month end. Somebody's selling chickens. Oh, let me get 20. I'll pay you at the month end. So you sort of have to do the work, the inner work, to figure out what got you in that place in the first place. But then you have to give your money a job. You have to give your money a KPI. What are you doing? Because now that there's extra money, we say money flows to where it is valued, right? So if you don't have something specific that you want to do with your money, it will go. So then that's when we start talking about what am I saving for, what am I investing for, and things like that. So government bonds, what are they? Essentially, a government bond is you are lending money to the government. The government, or corporate bonds anyway, there are even corporate bonds. Some big corporates might issue a bond. So what they're saying is, we need 5 billion kwachas. Do you have any money? And so you go and you say, okay, from the 5 billion kwacha that you have, I have a 40,000, I have a 1 million, I have this. So you lend the government money at a specified rate. So if you're investing below 400, if you're investing below 500,000 in Zambia to the government, then you take the rate that they give you. If you have 500 and above, you can bid. You can say, oh, here's my 1 million. I want you to pay me this much interest.
Over what period?
So bonds will have a term from, in Zambia, it's 2 years to 15 years. So there's the 2 year, 3 year, 5, 7, 10, and 15. So you can decide what you want, and how you make money from the bond is usually on two fronts. You get a coupon payment, meaning the interest that you have been approved for is going to be split in two. You get an interest payment every 6 months. And then some bonds might sell at a discount. So I want to buy a bond for 100,000, but what actually moves from my account is maybe 70,000. But the paperwork will say 100. So you bought it at a discount, meaning at the end of the term, when you get your money back, although only 70K moved from your account, you get back 100. So you would have gotten that gain there. So those are the two ways with your government bonds.
Okay, so you said interests are paid every 6 months? Okay, so on 100,000, you put in. I wanna look at it from the actual route rather than the one that you took. You give them 100,000. The interest on that is
100,000 for how long?
over 2 years.
Over 2 years, I'm trying to remember what the interest on that is. It might. I know the 15 year because I was looking at it. Let's take 15 years.
Okay, let's start from what you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
We'll
looking
clear.
at it this week. So the 15-year bond in the last auction ended at 23.7%. So meaning out of your 100,000, you're getting 23,700.
Over 15 years.
Yes.
So you're paid
It's
every
split
6 months.
in two. It'll be split in two. The 23,000 will be split in two, and you will be paid that way. And it's also tax deductible.
Wait, help me understand one thing.
This makes absolutely no sense. So you're giving me
It does.
23,000, you're
Wait,
taking
how-
tax on it,
Also,
and
wait.
it's split into two?
Also, wait.
Yeah.
How often are you giving me that 23,000?
Every 6 months. No, every year, but it's split in two.
What does
So
that mean? when you-
23 divided by 2, that's
Yes.
about 11,
17. 23. Oh, yeah.
11.5.
You get a 10 something in your account
Everyone.
every 6 months. If I buy it now, January, in June, I get a 10
This is not
something
as
in
attractive
December
as I
again.
thought it would be, to be honest.
Because
Because
you're
if I
talking,
had 100,000, I could make a lot more with it.
that's active investing, Elson. You're
This is
thinking,
passive.
yes,
I
you're
understand, I
thinking,
get it.
yeah. So you're thinking, I'll get it, I'll put it here, and I'm going to do this with it, and then to earn me this much, right? You're actively involved in making it grow, so you will get more money out of that. Versus someone like me who works a full-time job, for instance, I just want to park it. I
So
got a
basically-
bonus, whatever. I just want to pack it and not look at it again, but it will grow on its own, or I'll get an income.
So pretty much my 100 pin is making a 3 pin per month, give or take.
Times 15 years.
So after 6 months, I get that 23 pin, less taxes and whatever charges you guys are going to impose on my...
What attracts, and it's taxable, you see what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, and also what attracts more, a fixed deposit with a bank or a government bond?
I mean,
Let's
So-
say over the same period.
Okay, so I'm trying to run away from actually giving investment advice here. So we'll do the disclaimers. This is not investment advice, right?
Don't worry,
we're having conversations.
Yeah. Andrew's coming this weekend as well, so we'll speak to him about the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So, what was the question? What's more attractive between a fixed deposit and a bond?
Correct.
So these are now like personal decisions that you make.
No, according to you.
According to
Somebody
me.
who knows finance.
If you had 100,000, where would you put it? Bonds or fixed deposit?
So personal experience, I'm parking it in bonds because as a Jane, I'm trying to create an income for myself. I like how it pays out every 6 months. So I am very strategic about which time of year I'm actually parking this money in certain instruments. So if I'm using government bonds, for instance, and I want to create a salary for myself for when I turn 40, which is in the next couple of years, then I will strategically buy my bonds to fill up the months, right? So I might buy in January, and so I'll be getting January and June. I might buy in April, so I'll be getting every 6 months. So I can close up a whole year with bonds, with coupon interests coming in every month.
What do banks offer on fixed deposits?
Banks should be, I haven't been in the banking sector for a while, but they should be averaging around 4.5%.
Per what?
6% per annum.
Per annum. Ching, so are you saying it would be wise if I had like a lump sum 100,000 kwacha to split it, if I was disciplined enough, to say I've got 100 pin, in January I do a 20 pin, in February I do a 20 pin? Because I mean, they're trying to make sure that you're getting paid every month after 6 months, right?
Again, this is not investment advice, but if it was me, you
Right.
give me 100K, I would not split it. Because just from the numbers that we're talking about 100,000, 23,000, if I get a 10 pin, 9 pin, it's not that much, right? I can't really do much with it. So my goal is to stack up as much as I can in that month. So I would close up the years. I would close up the year. I would buy the 100K, whatever, if that's what I get. Maybe bonus, maybe a once-off deal where I make a lump sum. I would do that. But then I would also go and buy more bonds within the same month. So I stack up the amount of money that's coming to me.
So if in January I have 100 pin and I buy into government bonds, I have another 100 pin in February, are you saying I can stack up?
You can go buy, you can buy back into the same bond that you bought into, by the way.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
So if I have more money after I've already invested in bonds, can I keep adding more money as the year progresses?
Yeah, you can go back and buy within the same bond, but how I would do it would be to buy, if I had 100, let's work with 100K because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This month, January, I have 100K, I would buy so that I get paid in January and June, right?
Okay.
If I then March, most companies pay bonuses in March. I get a bonus or whatever it is in March. I would buy a bond in March so that now I start getting a coupon interest in March and is it October? That's 6 months from March. So I would close up my year like that. But come January again, if I get extra money, I've got a 50K, maybe I've got a 300K, I would still buy in January, even if there's already coupon coming.
I don't like this.
Do you have the option of, let's say that 100 pin, and we've done the math, we say they're supposed to give a 23 pin in June. Do you have the option of saying, don't pay me, put it back in?
No. So with bonds, you don't have that option. So remember, every investment has a pro and a con. The con that I see with government bonds is the money comes into your account. So it's up to you now to have the discipline and the prudence to then reinvest it back.
Yeah,
well, there's no stop order that says that just hold it, put it back in.
You can have it with your bank.
You can tell your bank
but it's up to you. It's not up to the central government.
Yeah, you tell your relationship manager. I don't like this talk of 100,000 because the masses of the people that watch this are civil servants.
Yeah.
And these people have God be smiling. You know I'm right. Aren't you feeling alienated by these people talking about 100,000s and whatnot?
No, we're trying to talk a figure that's more rounded.
10,000 is more rounded too, my boy. 10,000
No, we speak percent, it's 100. So 100 is an easy number to work with.
Is a crap load of money. 100
is an easy number to work with.
You say what?
It's a loan.
Your people talking about unrealistic-ish, talking about 100. F out of here. Because another thing as well when it comes to debt. People, sadly, that are susceptible to debt are civil servants because it kind of feels like companies aim for civil servants, right?
Because pay slips have... if you're a credit company, you want to work with me, come. Anyway, but pay slips have kind of become like currency now. Because
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
so
That's
they
not the
are
point.
targeted.
I had a question. Civil servants are pretty much eligible to get most things on credit because they know where they're going to get their money from. How do you get a civil servant to be able, number one, to have the discipline to say no? Because literally every single month they have got 10 companies that are going there saying, if you're a teacher and you got a pay slip, come and get a free TV, come and get a free bed, come and get a free phone.
You can pay for it over 3 years.
All right. How then do you have the discipline of knowing, okay, so this I would need, this I would say no to. When can you look at your pay slip and say, my pay slip is choking here? How much of your pay slip should you say, I need to set X amount aside every single month towards bonds, investments, and if it's going to be an investment, what type of investment? So we're looking at a civil servant. What's the average salary of a civil servant, Cobb? How much?
Lowest is 5,000.
5,000.
Okay, that's average.
not
So-
average.
So let's say
On average.
give or take 8,000. Someone that's earning 8,000, right, has got one child, is living in Kabwata. They're paying what, like 2.5 rent or 3 pin rent or whatever it is. How do they live on that? Are they able to invest?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So you have to decide. I think let me take off my thingy. Let me put on my motivational speaker hat. At some point, you have to decide what you want. So I can't just be, because these people came, I got a TV. These people came, I got a car. Why are you buying those things? Most of us acquire stuff so other people can see us, really and truly. So at some point, you really have to decide what it is that you want for your life. That's where goal setting goes. I think the first thing I write in the book is a goal setting chapter. Your money has to have a job. If it doesn't have a job, it will go everywhere. It will go to a salon, it will go to whoever, the TV supplier, whatever it is. But if I know that, okay, I'm saving up money because in the next 3 years, my child has to go into university, or I want to do this with my money, it's easier to say, actually, I won't buy that thing because this extra money, I'm going to put it this side. So I think that at some point you have to make those tough calls for yourself. And the more you do it month on month, the more it becomes a habit and it becomes easier for you to be able to. The second thing is you can live on 8,000. Based on the numbers you gave me very roughly, the rent is around 2,000. They live in a certain area, one child, you can live. However, I strongly believe in learning how to earn more because your income is very powerful. That's what you use to build wealth. So the more income you have, the more you can earn. So this person is a civil servant, they are married, what's their partner doing? Or what expertise do they have in their civil service job that they can use on the side to create maybe a company or a business that can earn them extra? So now, if I've got extra money, then I'm able to save, then I'm able to invest.
My brother here did say most of our viewers are civil servants, right? And we're talking about government bonds. Is a person earning 8,000 kwacha able to invest in the things we're talking about right now?
So, because you picked bonds, yes, the minimum amount that you can invest in a bond is 1,000 kwacha.
Serious?
On retail. However, there are a few disclaimers that I will put. You would need to set up your own CSD account. So your CSD is your account that you have with Bank of Zambia. You set it up online. They'll ask you for your NRC, the same, your same KYC, know your customer things that you need. You upload your NRC, you upload your photo, proof of residence, those things. Because I've realized with some of the people that I interact with or that I have coaching sessions with, they will say that, oh, I had a 30K. I went to the bank to buy a government bond and they told me that the bank said no. It's too little. I need to push it up to 70 or 100 or whatever it is. So some institutions are refusing, so you can go ahead and do it yourself. The other thing is, he was just talking about 100K here and saying 23,000 is too little. He would make it up. If he had 100K, he can make more. So the less money you invest, the more your income, your interest that you're earning will seem smaller. So I like to talk about saving up a lump sum for you to reinvest, right? I know you didn't ask me about saving, but I say we save for three things. We save for emergencies, we save for big ticket buys that we want to do within a short term, and we save up for capital so you can accumulate a lump sum and purchase.
Nelson, sorry, this is targeted at you now. And I asked this not for myself, but for the many people watching right now. You mentioned if you had that 100,000 as opposed to waiting for 23,000 after 6 months. I know what businesses you do. And if somebody gave you 100 pin, you would take it to that. But for an ordinary person who doesn't have the businesses that you have, what do you think would be the best place to take 100 pin for them to realize the 23,000 after 6 months?
There's quite a number of things that you're able to do. So if you look at fintech, for example, take that 100,000 to
Mobile money?
Mobile money. Go to Airtel, sign up for a super dealer contract. Typically, what happens is when you look at the ecosystem that Airtel has, have you ever figured out where Airtel agents get their money from?
I don't know how you guys
buy
operate.
Money.
Yeah.
Don't say you guys, I'm MTN. They buy money, right? So the more you are able to get these agents into your ecosystem, and when these guys do require cash, you are able to sell them cash. They send you float, you give them money, you agree on a premium, and whatever money that you're making on the side is the profit that you're making. So if you look at how many people, just the other day we saw that there's been over 300 billion that has moved in mobile money. So that is, at the end of the day, you're able to walk away with 5 to 10 pin. Right, depending on how many agents you have. Think of
5, 10 pin over how long a period?
It depends on how many agents you're working with.
In that
so
100
it could be a day.
And
right?
How much do you need? The 100K is what you need to be a super
you
agent.
can
What's the
sell
minimum?
with 100,000.
Okay,
all right. So again, I'm not gonna speak about the actual policy of the MNO. They would have to tell you to say you have to have that container or whatever it is. But if you look at like extremely busy areas like
Town center.
Like town center or intercity, where you're going to have a booth day that runs for 24 hours because the economy and activity doesn't stop, you are now able to get your own ecosystem of agents who come to you saying, I'm out of float or I'm out of cash. You service them and you agree as to a premium to say, I'm going to charge you X amount for X amount that I get. So you are using that 100,000 as inventory, as capital, so that doesn't change. What you're then making on top of that is what your profit is.
So when somebody tells me I've run out of float, it means they've exhausted the whole 100,000, right?
No, I'm not going to get into.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking this for somebody who's watching this, because the whole point of this episode is for people to learn how to make money.
Precisely. So that's just one of the many things that you're able to do. So the more money you have, or the less money that you have, you're able to sort of put yourself in a scale of what you're able to invest in, or the kind of business that you're able to get into. And speaking of that, which is a very great plug, before we started this, I was on a call with Mara, and I was like, oh, is that Mara? So Mara and I, together with a couple of people, we have got an initiative that we've started called B-Youth, where we do want to get up to 1 million people. And the idea of this is to get Virgin here, for example, has got a business idea, right? Where do you live?
Chalala.
Chalala, right? So you live in Chalala. You've gotten a business idea. You want to sell toothpicks. You don't have money for a lawyer. You don't have capital. You do not know where or how to start. You join B-Youth. And we already have got 2 banks that we've partnered with, MasterCard. We have got, on the board, we've got Trevor Mumba from SA. So as a member, you now have got access to the banks that we've partnered with. We give you a wallet where your money is going to be in. You're able to move your wallet from the bank to your wallet. We give you access to every stage of what you require in order for you to get into the market and to get your business established. So, in fact, today we have got a webinar where it'll be myself, it'll be Wallace, the guy that owns and started Afro Delivery. We have got Mara, we have got Alice, who works with the CDC, and we have got the mayor of Chipata. So at 4 p.m., Lelo, tune in.
We're still talking about moving 100
Yeah.
pin.
Hey, let me plug my ish.
Okay, you have.
All right.
You have. I'm trying to find out, of course, for the masses. And on average, if say I put in 100 pin, and if it was like the perfect business model in the world, how much would I turn around on that 100 pin? How much profit do I make on 100 pin? Let's say month on month for 6 months.
Let me show you something. So you're talking about the turnover that you make. So you are looking at making, if you're moving float, you're looking at making 0.25%.
So 2,500 kwacha on 100 pin.
Yeah.
Times 6 months?
So I want to show you something quickly. No, it's okay. I'll show you later. But you're looking at making 0.25%.
I don't think government bonds are better.
Is it 2% or 0.25%?
0.25%.
And your calculation on
So
the
it's
bond
less
was...
than...
No, but then this is per 100,000. So your question is, how long does it take for you to flip 100,000? Right? Because you're now able, I work with a capital of 5 million, right? And I flip that 3 times. So if you're working with 100,000, how many agents do you think would require 100,000 in an hour? So you're able to flip 100,000 10 times
In a day.
in a day.
All right. Okay, cool. Because I asked you month on month for 6 months.
No, but I've just given you how much you're going to make on 100,000, right? So times the number of times you flip that 100,000.
All right. So it's in the flipping. Okay,
Right.
cool.
So if you flip that 100,000 10 times in a day, that's how much profit you're going to make.
then it works. Then it does
seven,
work.
Times seven,
Yeah, then it
times
does
7
work.
days in a week, times 4 weeks in a month.
Okay, then it does work. Yeah.
Of course it does work.
No. Because I asked month on month for 6 months. You didn't quite give me the straight answer. So now I'm seeing how it works. No, I get you now.
Yeah.
I see how it works.
Because I was going to give you a month. I was going to give you how much you make per 100,000. So now multiply that by the number of times you're able to flip it. So I've just given you that you are able to flip 100,000 maybe 10 times.
in a day.
Right,
Especially in a place
day.
like Intercity, you
So
can.
again,
definitely.
there's now variables as to where are you
where
operating
are you?
from, right? So the
How many
person,
other agents are in the same locale?
precisely,
Yeah.
how many people are you working with? Because if you're working with one person where you have got a person who then goes out to the agent and actively pushes that, you'll flip more than if you are stationed in one place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Jane, so that's bonds. Treasury bills, same thing. What's the difference?
Quite similar to your bond, except they're very short term. They start from 91 days to 365 days.
So they're not as
Yeah.
profitable as bonds.
It's not that. It's that they're for a shorter period of time.
I
So-
can hear Outcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that in here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're
Sorry,
for a
I
short
thought
time.
somebody was playing.
Is the interest rate on that even less, considering it's a shorter time?
It is less. So from what I was looking at, you've got interest rates ranging from around 9 to around 11-ish percentage per annum for the period that you put.
Jane, how different is it for the average? Virgin, how old are you? How old are you? Huh?
You're 20.
20. How different is it for the average, say, 20 or 25-year-old to either invest in Zambia or do business in Zambia as compared to the rest of Africa? Are there things that you have seen that are A, unique to Zambia, which are an advantage, and B, which are a disadvantage?
Well, I've lived in Zambia primarily, but there are observations that I've made. We are very enterprising here, but I feel like we don't have as much exposure. So enterprising in that we are thinking very short term. I need to make money to eat now, or I need to make money to pay the rent. Whereas in other countries, there seem to be that, what shall I say? Is it like political will? There's an actual drive by the people in power and the people who hold the money and the decision making to drive certain aspects. Take Kenya, for instance. There's an actual drive around like technology and things like that. So you have a lot more, hubs like Bongo Hive, you have a lot more of them in a space like that. So young people have places to go to experiment, to innovate, and to build these companies that can then grow beyond a month or two into like startups, essentially. I think same thing with places I've been to, like Nigeria. There seems to be that drive where there are specific systems put in place for people to drive towards that entrepreneur spirit that they have. So I feel like that's a little bit different. I think it's an exposure sort of conversation.
And also,
so what are the
a lot of business
advantages
people
that you
tell
see?
you. Sorry?
What are the advantages that you see?
In Zambia?
Yeah.
I think that the advantage would be we're hungry. We're hungry in that we do know how to make money. So there are opportunities that we see. You see young people doing, lately I've been seeing a lot of like young people doing the deliveries, for instance, on bicycles. That's great, I think, in terms of like earning and things like that. The disadvantage is I don't see people taking that and sort of creating a whole business or institution around it. Because if I do one bike and I make certain amount of money, can I buy another and hire drivers and actually start creating?
But that's not really unique to Zambia, though.
What's that?
The delivery on bikes. That's not really unique to Zambia.
It's not unique to Zambia, but you asked me about an advantage
In
that
Zambia,
we have, which
that
I
we
think
have.
is the spirit of the people, is that we're able to identify opportunities and take...
A couple of things. Something that I hope maybe you touch on is we have got initiatives like the CDF, right? Which is an initiative that is unique to what Zambia is offering to its citizens. Where if you've got a business idea, you're able to go access CDF. The second thing, like when we spoke about you want access to capital, you've got a viable business. You go to banks like ZICB, NatSave, etc. If you don't have collateral, you're able to lean on institutions that are subsidiaries of Ministry of Finance, like the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme, that will then back your security, part of your security on your behalf. Again, this is an advantage that Zambians would have. So if you've got a business that is scalable, these are things that you might be able to tap into, which is a plus for Zambians.
Okay, so I didn't know that was unique to Zambia. I didn't know that other countries do not have the CDF initiatives for their citizens.
They don't, yeah.
I do know, well, I won't argue. I think those are great options that they have. So yeah, those are advantageous. You can go and get. The only thing is how many people actually have. It goes back to the banking conversation, right? Do you have the paperwork and the sort of things that are needed in order for you to be able to access that? And now it becomes a responsibility of the citizens. We do know, like with CEC, we got a lot of the conversation around a lot of young people took out the loans and haven't paid back.
Yeah.
Right?
That happened a lot.
So, yes, it's an advantage, but are we taking care of it the way we should? Because essentially, if the money is there, I take it, I run it into my business should do well enough for me to pay it back so that the next person can access.
Precisely why we now have got B-Youth, because they now give you the discipline and the coaching that when you get access to funding, and we have got successful people, like I said, Trevor Mumba and the rest of the other people who are able to lead, to say, look, you have gotten the funding, right? You now need to have the discipline to say, I'm not going to run out and then buy a GTI. Because you now have the money to your disposal.
I think other things that we take for granted that we have in Zambia that maybe other countries, even in this region, may not have, is lower taxes. Talk about import taxes in countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa. I think we have the lowest import taxes in the region.
Yeah.
From what I hear. Also, there's things that we don't have, like sugar taxes here. Talk about if you're manufacturing any product that has sugar in it. In South Africa, you're taxed heavily for that.
There's quite a lot.
Yeah, but in this country, business is easy to do because of the tax that we don't have yet, like South Africa and Zimbabwe.
I like that point that you brought up, because like when you're a foreigner, you come into Zambia, you get an investment permit. Hey, not only are you able to bring in, don't quote me on this because this might have changed lately, they're able to bring in machinery duty-free.
You see?
I think you might be able to also, I'm not sure, bring in a vehicle duty-free. I think you don't pay, I need to check this out, but you must be tax exempt for a certain period. So this is obviously trying to attract more investors in this. You look at, for example, if you're buying a vehicle in Zimbabwe, you know how much duty is?
100%.
100%.
So if you're buying a car for 100,000, we love 100,000 kwacha on this podcast.
Yeah.
If you're buying a car worth 100,000 kwacha,
You're
that's
paying
how much you're
100,000.
going to pay.
So
in
that's
duty. Imagine that.
that's open to foreigners.
What's the question? What is open foreigners?
Those advantages that you're talking
If
about.
you have an investment
An
permit.
investment permit.
Okay,
Yes.
so whether I'm a citizen or whether I'm a foreigner.
No, so that
foreigners
if
Foreigners
coming
coming
in.
to
Foreigner,
invest in
yes.
this country,
Okay.
yeah.
Because you need to get in. And
Wouldn't it be nice to have those benefits for locals?
Yeah,
No,
but
so-
then
so you
that
can-
would
Tax
be
exemptions
everyone now.
and
You know,
but
maybe,
then you
maybe
can.
if you're at a certain threshold, maybe
No,
we
no,
need
but
to
then
Let's say if you're
lobby.
investing more than 10 million kwacha, you get
Yeah.
these benefits as a Zambian. You know
no,
what I mean?
but then
I think
again,
it'd
it
be fair.
depends with what you're doing, right? Because shout out to Chileshe. She's got a company, a honey company, right? Where she goes to Mulelunga, gets honey, packages it into sachets and whatever it is. She went to Zambia. What is it called? Zambia something manufacturing.
Zambia, yeah,
Association of
manufacturing
Manufacturers?
yes.
That right.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you a step by step. They gave her a buy-in. She brought in machinery into the country. Number one, it was duty-free. So together with them, they went to ZRA, and the machinery that she got in here was duty-free. That is number one. Number two is they also then helped her export the stuff that she had outside the country. So depending on what it is that you are doing, there are institutions in Zambia that are able to help you not only lower how much duty tax
Cost, yeah.
You attract. But if you need to be able to sell this outside the country, you now have these agreements that you really don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting to get listed. Like when you go to, say, China, when you've got the content fair that happens in April, there are institutions in here that will be able to help you get your product there.
Jane, like I said earlier, I listen to a lot of financial podcasts, motivation speakers, life coaches, and a lot of Jewish business podcasts. And a lot of them talk about...
This is why you just talking about 100,000.
Yeah, I'm thinking on another level, bro. And it's actually in dollars. I'm thinking of it in dollars.
Yeah.
A lot of them, especially Jews, will talk about how the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. From an African perspective, somebody starts a business. When do they diversify? When should they create 7 streams of income? Should they even create 7 streams of income, considering the country we're in? What are your thoughts on this?
Warren Buffett too. Warren actually said 8.
8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Jews say, on average, do you know the Jews are numbers? 7 streams of income for them is a number.
Yeah.
7 is the God number.
So I do like the idea of 7 streams of income. We do need to definitely sort of explore what are the streams of income, right? I think essentially when you say 7 streams, and this was me as well. Initially, when I thought 7 streams of income, I thought I need to build 7 businesses to bring me money. But things like what we're talking about now, investing, I work full time. That's income stream number 1. If I put my money, I park my money somewhere and I'm getting the interest coming, let's say the government bonds, the coupon coming, that's a second stream of income, right? So there are different types. So you can create essentially a portfolio of your streams of income. You're an expert, you know mobile money, right? Write us a book about mobile money and start getting royalties. So every time somebody purchases your book from Amazon, from wherever, somebody sends you a check. That's a stream of income. Rental is another big one that I have sort of slithered into lately. And again, when we talk about rental, people think real estate. I need to have flats or shops or whatever. I rent out party event things. So like photo booths, these 360-degree cameras, photo booths like that. So that's another stream of income that you can build. And you don't have to be there actively. It could be, you can hire somebody to run that for you, or you can write a book once off and it will keep paying you income over time, or you can park it. So I definitely like the idea of 7 streams of income. We should definitely explore. But at a point, I believe that if I am earning, I must sort of become an expert in that field. You do your 10,000 hours and create systems that the business that you have can run
Without
you, and then you can start on something else, because sometimes it can be hard to focus on 2-3 different things, right? Because this one needs you, and your business needs to be able to function without you being actively there. So when you get to that point where you've got your people, you've got your systems, it's working, then you can move on and start building the next and the next and the next.
A difficult conversation to have in this country, and I like that you mentioned you work, and I know where you work. I don't know if we are able to bring that up. Okay, cool. But one of the most difficult conversations to have, and I've worked for a company that sells this product,
Death?
Life insurance. Yes, connected to death. I remember when I used to work for state insurance, we'd go to the mines to try to convince the miners to buy life insurance, right? And the moment you explain that you're buying life insurance, or assurance we call it, you're buying this because you want a situation where when you die, your family is still comfortable with all the comforts that you've given them while you're alive. They'll get a lump sum. 9 out of 10 miners would say, and then my wife should remain enjoying life with another man, with my money, without me. Do you...
Dumbass.
How do you convince Zambians to buy life insurance in this country?
Is that a money conversation or is that a relationship conversation?
I think they would marry the two.
So I feel like something happened during COVID. When we had that pandemic, people were locked in. We saw people that we know and love leave us. I feel like it became real. Being in the sector, the life assurance sector, I have seen quite a switch. We are not where we're supposed to be. We're still below like 2%.
Are you saying it dropped?
It increased.
Okay.
In terms of people who are taking up these products. They seem to be an increase, but more so around things like education planning, investment policies where people know that they'll get something out even while they're still alive. Those still seem to do better than our protection policies where it's like, oh, we only pay at death. So although it's still a difficult conversation, the uptake is going up. People are getting educated, and I think kudos to the companies in the industry. I think they're doing a lot of educating as well. On the front of trying to sell to you, they will have a heart of a teacher and teach you. And yeah, it's picking up. It's not where it's supposed to be, but it's definitely picking up.
Yeah, I think a lot of education is needed because when you look at the stats, Western world, almost every human being there has life insurance because they understand the importance of this.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an upward battle trying to teach black people in Africa that life insurance is important.
But also products like insurance is not something that somebody would just buy like I'm walking into a store. So today I've got an extra amount. I know that when I start this policy, I have to continue to pay for it for long periods of time. Your 5 years, 10 years, 20 years even. So we do need to give people space. What we learn as somebody in sales in this industry, which is life assurance, is that within a 12 to 18 month period, the people that you have talked to will buy. The question is, are they buying from you or from a different person? Because maybe you gave up on them. So you tell them about this. They might say, I'm not interested, but they'll call you in a couple of months to actually take up the policy.
I think because none of us want to imagine ourselves dead.
That too.
Death and taxes.
That too, but Kalenga, it's also a matter of, I think we've been talking about money. It is also a layered conversation in that if I'm struggling to feed my family right now, it's very difficult for me to start thinking about how will they eat when I'm not there. I'm thinking about the immediate. How will I feed these people? How will I clothe them? So you see that when they start getting a little bit more stable, they start maybe earning a little bit more, they're out of debt and they have some more disposable income, then they start thinking, okay, what else can I do with these funds? And then we can start now talking about, put it away, plan for your child's education, things like that.
One day.
Oh, what happens?
I'm just saying
Do
one
you
day
have a
Zambians
policy?
will buy. Yes, I have a policy with Prudential.
Okay.
Yeah. I swear. And I'll keep giving the example of the mines because I grew up in a mining town, Kitwe. And half the time we had these conversations with miners, they were like, why am I talking about death? It's like I'm calling it upon myself. You know, a lot of people are scared to talk about what happens after they're gone. Talk about death, just to start with, was a difficult conversation to have with the miners. Life insurance is a very hard thing to sell in Zambia.
We are a superstitious people.
Yeah.
But again, that's actually changing. I personally do get quite a lot of groups of people saying, oh yeah, there's a bunch of us, we're mothers, can you come talk to us about education planning? you via insurance, for instance, or we are a savings group, for instance, but beyond a savings group, would like to understand funeral policies because members are dying and how can we help them?
Right.
And so you go and you have that conversation. It's opening up.
Okay.
It's opening up.
Nelson, is there anything you want to add to the conversation before we close?
Another thing, I keep going to investment. That's your field, right? No, investment.
Ish.
Give or take. I've seen a genius initiative when we had a stock exchange here, right?
Yeah, Lusaka Stock Exchange.
Do you have the knowledge in which companies are worth buying stock in and those that aren't in Zambia?
I do, but that's one of those topics that I can't really talk about
Why is
because
that?
it borders on investment advice and you can't do blanket advice like that. But the companies that are on the stock exchange are vetted. There's certain parameters that they need to meet in terms of profitability, governance, things like that.
But
for
you
them
started
to
the
get
stock exchange, though.
Yeah.
What has been the most profitable company, public listed company there?
Well,
People say Stanchart.
No, but this is public information, isn't
Yeah.
it?
A lot of people say Stanchart. Is that true?
I want to talk about in my portfolio. So from personal experience, the company that's paid me the most is Zanaco.
Is what?
Zanaco.
Zanaco.
That
Yeah,
paid
well,
me-
500
I was gonna
pin, I
think
can buy
Zanaco.
I can buy stock in Zanaco.
I don't know. What are your financial goals for you to buy
Okay,
stock
and then
in
again,
Zanaco?
yes, very, very good topic you brought up. Stocks versus bonds. What would give me better return? And that in the long run, let's say, we're talking 15 years. If I put my money, let's start with advantages versus disadvantages of the two. Stocks are more risky, right?
Yeah.
So bonds are a safer bet.
So when you look at your investments, like in school, we are taught this investment pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom of the pyramid, you have your bonds, your government securities, essentially your treasury bills and bonds.
Right.
So every single investment has a risk attached to it. However, some are more risky than others. So your bonds, for instance, will be safer, but the return will seem to be
Smaller.
less.
So the higher the risk, the higher the reward.
Exactly.
So stocks could give you...
Stocks are somewhere in the middle. So they would give you, technically speaking, or in a perfect world, they would give you higher return, but higher risk as well. When we talked about how you earn from bonds, we talked about being able to get the coupon, being able to get your discount at the end, right? Those are guaranteed almost. There's like a high percentage of guarantee. I'm expecting my 23,
It's
it will
supposed to come in
at
June
least
on the
90% chance or whatever percent chance it'll come. Stocks
I like the weather.
Zanaco might have paid me well last year in 2024. This year they might say, oh, we're reinvesting. We want to expand our branch network, for instance. So this year we won't pay dividend. So you might not get that dividend. Or they might make a loss. In which case, when you're an owner, which is what buying shares is, when you're an owner, you share in the profit,
And
but
the
you share
losses,
in the losses as
Yeah.
well. So those are some of the risks that you start to look at.
So from what I see here, using my my DeepSeek app, have you heard of it?
Who told me about this the other day?
The Chinese app. The Chinese
What were we talking-
are
was it you?
freaking incredible. Have you heard of DeepSeek?
No.
So ChatGPT and Gemini from Google, they used close to $7 billion to create their AI app. The Chinese created something twice as advanced for $5 million.
I thought you were going to say Gemini and
like a million
ChatGPT
percent
had
difference.
a baby.
No.
And that was
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, but these guys used billions, right, to create this. In China, used $5 million, and this is
when
In true Asian style, they
when
found a
was this
cheaper way.
created?
about
So who created first?
The Americans.
obviously the Americans, OpenAI.
So you have the first mover disadvantage of spending more, and then
But now
somebody
they're
sees and
making-
he's like, "Oh, this is good." So
They're
like,
making losses,
yeah?
right? Because the stock exchange is in turmoil right now. So anyway, I just checked out DeepSeek, and they have just said to me that companies such as Zambia Breweries, Zanaco, and First Quantum Minerals have been, as of last year, the top performers on the Lusaka Stock Exchange.
I have 2 of those. I don't have one.
Okay, so you might want to get a third. So, free financial advice. Hey, listen, if you lose money, Baba, there's a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode.
We are not financial advisors.
In fact, I would like to see you in front of a judge saying this face and that face look like people who can give you financial advice. You'd be dumb to take financial advice from him or me. So stick to the professionals.
Okay.
But then I was before I close, one of the other things that I feel is a business that anybody could take, which you and I need to look into, is I've seen a podcast partner with somebody like Jane, somebody that knows stocks pretty well. And what they did, bear with me for a second. So you've got Gob, for example, say he has got 10,000 and he wants to invest 200 kwacha. Doesn't know in what. So you've got the stock exchange, you've got bonds, you have all these options, right? Now, in partnership with the podcast, we create an app that would have all the possible things to invest in, right? Gob doesn't care what is his money is being invested in. So Gob will say, I'm going to lock in my money for 12 months. I'm going to give you 500 kwacha, right? Jane knows that Zanaco is hot right now. So I'm going to take 400 of Gob's money, buy Zanaco shares, 200 of his money, buy First Quantum, 100 buy bonds, right? Gob is able to see off the app that I've given them 1,000, and this is how my 1,000 has been split. And you don't have to tell Gob that, okay, so now is the right time to sell your shares. Because you as the professional, you would know. If I leave these shares for too long, he's going to make a loss. So now is the right time to sell. So you're advised to sell. Should we sell? If they say yes, then you sell. But basically, you are taking people who have got no knowledge and you're investing on their behalf. Obviously, they have got optics of it.
Yeah, I think that it's a clever idea. There is something like that, but it's usually concentrated to stock exchanges. So they're called exchange-traded funds. So essentially, I've got, like you said, 500 kwacha to put away either every month or every year or whatever. I go, instead of going to say, oh, I'm buying CEC and Zambian breweries. And
because you know nothing about it.
Yes, so you just go and you buy the ETF, and the ETF is already...
precisely.
It's already divided across the stock market.
Right.
The clever bit on your idea is bringing in investments outside the stock exchange.
Right. Yes.
So it's your AI is able to actually evaluate the different options based on the goals that I input in there. Say, oh, I want to retire when I'm 40. I want to make a salary for myself. So then it creates a portfolio.
You can even put your goal, right, to say at the end of 2025, I would love to have made 40,000, right? I have got a capital of 5,000 that I don't need to use right now. So I'm going to lock up this money for 12 months, right? And I'm going to put it into this app. Now, it is up to the professionals, and it's also AI run, who, like I've just reiterated, who know that, okay, so between January and March, for whatever reason, Stanchart is hot. So we're going to take Gob's, the first 500, buy Stanchart, take 100, buy this. And when it's time to dump,
sell.
Right. You do exactly that. But then at the end of the day, you are trying to get as many people onto this platform as possible, and predominantly people who know nothing about this. Because I've said this on the podcast over and over again. If there's one thing that absolutely annoys me, is that the interest people take in gossip, in salacious stuff, and suddenly people have got bundles when it's time to gossip, right? When Mizukanju wears something and then Kidis wears the same thing, suddenly people are flocking to blogs. But now when we are talking about financial literacy Then suddenly, our next podcast, that type of thing. So I don't care if there are going to be 10 people that take away something from this. Those are the 10 quality people that hopefully we might be able to create a shift from people just talking about frivolous stuff, or I am making money, I'm able to afford the car that I want, live in the house that I want. But if everybody or most people are able to do the same thing, this is how you now begin to see an entire generation. Like if you go to Japan, for example, or if you go to China, you look at the average 25-year-old, what they're able to achieve, what they're thinking about, what they're spending their time in. It's totally different to if you come here, you look at the average 25-year-old, just like you say, they're thinking of, at Black, there's this special that is happening. So what I would want is to shift. In South Africa. Yeah, what I would want is to shift the mindset in how people think.
Speaking of mindset shift and the quality people who watch this podcast, Jane, we've spoken about bonds, yes, Lusaka's stock exchange. If we take it further afield, am I able to buy stock in companies? Because I see how it's glamorized in movies, buying stock in Facebook, the AI and whatever. I'd like to hear from you. How does one go about it from this country and the companies are in America?
So I feel like there are more and more brokers now that are able to take. I remember a couple of years ago, my friends and I tried to purchase stock from outside. It was so difficult to find a broker. However, we've seen quite a number of brokers popping up, even like apps, like Nigerian apps or Kenyan apps coming up where you can put your money via mobile money and they're able to invest.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's easy. You have to go online and find a broker that's willing to take
your... How do you do that? I think I want practical steps because I'm sure there's people watching this and they're like, look, I want to invest in a product that I use every day. Like Facebook. I use Facebook every day and I want to put money
into Facebook.
Yeah, and Facebook is making profit year on year. You know what I mean?
So you utilize your Google really and truly.
But no, that's dangerous.
That's
dangerous.
It is. You have to do some vetting, but most stock exchanges will have the brokers that are licensed in there. For instance, our Securities and Exchange Commission here, every single broker who has a license by name and by company are on that website. So if you decide Facebook is listed where? In America, for instance, I want to find a broker, you can do some searches online on their stock market, on their Securities and Exchange, and find a broker and see whether they are willing to take African money. Some brokers say no.
Okay, or would I have to find a relative or friend in America who can do this?
So you say if I go to which stock exchange?
New York Stock Exchange, for instance.
Okay, cool. So go ahead. You're asking something.
Yeah, like would I have to find like a family or friend who lives in New York to do these things for me, send them money, then they buy the stock for me?
I feel like that's then now a little bit more dangerous than finding a broker because then like you're trusting an individual. What are the chances that I send you money today, Kalenga, to invest for me?
You send me 100,000.
I send you 100K.
Plot.
Which is what? $5,000 to invest for me. $5,000 is a lot, not just in Zambia, even over there.
Yeah.
What are the chances that I actually go to the stock market? And then whose account? The account is in whose name? Even if I do invest.
That's what I'm asking. What are the practical steps?
So basically what I've seen here is I've already seen a website called interactivebrokers.com. So with interactivebrokers.com is a website that sort of brings together all kinds of brokers, and they have got, they're promising heaven and earth. So 0% commissions that they take.
No way.
No way. It's 0.02?
No.
5?
No, $0 commissions.
Okay.
How are they making their money then? Or do they make money when you make money?
Possibly.
But that means it's a percentage, isn't it?
0% commissions on
low.
That's
nice.
Or low commissions.
Or low commissions. Okay.
Yeah. Check out the website interactivebrokers.com. It's sort of like a hub that gives you different types of brokers. I don't know how safe this is.
I was about to say, with the rise of scammers.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
With the rise of scammers, you have to do some vetting.
Yeah, precisely why I then said, the minute that you go down Google, that is extremely dangerous because just because it pops up right at the top doesn't mean it is the best or because it is legit.
Yeah.
It is just basic search engine optimization.
Yeah.
I would like to see, I haven't actually done this, but since you're on there, checking the Securities and Exchange Commission for the US. to see your list of approved brokers.
Oh, that's another way of doing it. Yeah,
because it's on there, it's legit. They've got their license for the year.
I really would love to be a player in the American markets because
But
I mean,
are you
watch
playing in the Zambian
IPOs
market though?
You say
in
what?
stocks? No, I've never.
I
tried
feel
that.
like one of the things, I mean, it's nice and it's exciting to do it outside, but one of the ways that we actually push our economy forward is if we invest back in here.
Right.
So we're talking about how active the stock market is in other countries because retail investors are actively on there selling and buying constantly. Ours seems to be a little bit more stagnant because a lot of us don't invest in that. So I think there's been a push by a lot of especially the regulatory bodies, the Bank of Zambia, the SEC, PIA, even Luce themselves. There's been a push to get more retail investors playing in the market. And yeah, our amounts are small, but the more actively we participate, the more that we're able to boost up that ecosystem as well.
And technically, if you invest and buy stock in say Zanaco, for example, you are automatically
An owner.
qualified to attend shareholders meetings.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Oh, they gave us nice bags last year.
I'm buying
At
stock.
the shareholders meeting.
Speaking of bags, oh man,
gave us
big
nice
shout out
bags.
to MTN. Yeah, big shout out to MTN. Man, those guys take care of me. Sharif Abdul, thank you. Brian Chibesa, thank you. Komba, thank you. Malcolm, Chikondi,
We're doing shout outs. Can I also?
thank you. Go ahead.
Seeing as we're doing shout outs,
Go ahead.
I also have one.
Go ahead.
As you were.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I'd love to thank the
Not
people
even,
that.
not even your child.
He doesn't watch this. This is very much above his. Yeah.
18. He's not 18 easy.
No,
In
he's
10
not.
years.
I'd love to give a shout out as well to the team at Heineken, taking very good care of me. Jan, the country manager, Jan van Velzen, Amusa Zaza, the team
Oh, I
at Book
texted
Media.
Jan yesterday.
Sorry?
I texted him yesterday.
Who, Jan? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, Jan, Amusa Zaza, and the team in South Africa as well, Crystal, Vireshri, taking very good care of me, the Heineken team, eh? Yeah.
I think one thing that we need to, in closing, that I would love to stress is let's start today. Start your own business if you're able to. It is not going to be easy, but I swear to God,
It'll be worth
it is
it.
worth it. I have,
easy.
man,
You like my singing voice, don't you?
I did say I was going to write a book.
About
as
mobile
to
money?
What? No. You remember when you said 8 streams of income?
Yeah.
Right. So the finance that the fintech aspect is one business, which is the main one. I've got Cyrex, which is interior design and implementation, been fantastic. We've got Kuras Containers, where we take shipping containers and refurbish those into hotels, homes, labs, classrooms, and I have got something that I would like to do with the government. Strangely, the podcast is also giving us a little bit of money.
A little bit, just a bit.
A little. So that also goes into the pot. So, and now we've got B-Youth. So we are actively trying to start our own brand. And when you hear me preach,
brother.
I want to show that it is possible for you to come into a foreign land. It is possible for you to start multiple companies, and it is possible for you to push those brands up until it gets to a point where they're recognizable. So those are the brands that you hear me speak about.
Is that your 7th stream of income, the preaching?
It sounds
Yeah.
it sounds like a lot, but it sounds very active also.
It sounds very.
What's your passive in there?
What do you mean?
Not all of us have the bandwidth to run 4-5 businesses.
Delegate,
the same time, Chago.
delegate, and create structures, right? So, for fintech, I run the entire southern province, right, on behalf of MTN. So, I run their mobile money, I run GSM, and I create structures. I have got people that every single day are working. Kalenga asked me about 100,000, for example. There's a product called Tamanga, right, where if you buy talk time, right, The partner is making money off it. So all I have to do is fund. And as people are buying talk time at midnight, as I'm sleeping, as I'm talking to you right now, that's money that is coming in.
So that's passive.
So, right. So you create structures. The other ones that I didn't told you about, which is Cyrex, those are a bit more hands-on because those are newer. And with the power of the podcast, we've managed to get really good clients. We got Sanlam. We did the new Sanlam building in Rhodes Park. We are working on one that you might know, Nail Addict.
Oh, yes, definitely.
There's quite a number that we're doing. And, the craziest thing is we got called for a meeting at Sanlam and we're having a conversation. And the CEO comes in, and after the work conversation is done, he then says to me, I won't say the first part that he said, but then the second part is apparently the wife watches the podcast a lot. And so the wife gets up to go to bed, and he then ends up watching more of the podcast that his wife was watching. And that was the Jonathan Gray episode.
That was a good episode.
Scary too. So it's the journey is interesting, but it's been worth it.
Congratulations. Sounds amazing.
Don't congratulate me yet.
Well, for starting, do you know how many people have ideas and never start?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, it's, can people just start? Whatever it is, toothpicks, selling spoons, start. Lelo.
Jane,
I've done
real
enough rambling.
Thanks for coming through. And where can people buy your book from?
Amazon. Right now, we are out of stock for the physical.
You must have made millions.
Royalty.
Amazon worldwide?
Yes.
Okay.
Amazon, you can order the book. It's $12.99.
And it's sold out.
In Zambia, yeah.
Oh, Amazon is still there.
Amazon is still on.
So what
Amazon,
they can buy on Amazon is a soft copy?
Yes. No. Hard copy. They deliver. If you're in the diaspora and you want to purchase the book, they deliver. I know in the UK, same day delivery if you're on Prime. Same with the US. But you can buy it, it's $12.99. And when we have stock, we'll let the people know. It's usually in Book World. Primarily.
If you're looking for one more reason to buy this book, she has red lipstick on the back.
Come on.
Do you have an audiobook?
No.
Okay.
I hope you record the audiobook.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
We've
one
got
of those
work to do
things
this year. We've got work to do.
that you need to follow up on.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Jane, thanks a lot for coming through. It's been real. I know every time people hear the word Z podcast, that's Z podcast. People imagine scandal, they imagine drama. We came and brought you business today. We surely hope you've learned something and your net worth will increase after this episode. Let's start by clearing those debts.
Yeah.
And then building wealth from there. Jane, thanks for coming through.
Thanks for having me.
To the next episode, remember to click on the subscribe button on YouTube and also on our socials. It's That's It Podcast everywhere. To the next episode, have a lovely day.